Our childhood is the beginning of our story, not the end. In today's video, we are going to talk about how your childhood affects your love language. We're going to cover the 5 different love styles based on your childhood. Your love style, which are tendencies, indicators, how do we react, how do we think, or how do we behave towards our loved ones, toward our romantic partners, based on our childhood. The first type is the pleaser, which is someone who grew up. I have all the notes of the video here, so if you want the notes after of this video, let me know in the comments and I will send you the pictures, or I will put them for the next video. The pleasure, from the word the pleasure, what can you understand? Yes, you're correct. Someone who tends to please everybody. The pleasure is someone who grow up with overprotective parents, angry, critical, and strict parents, which make the child develop the need to please everyone. A pleasure can go above, beyond, just to please everybody around him or her. As a child, a pleasure will go above and beyond just to do the right thing, to be correct, to behave in the right way, to do what's right, to be the number one, to always do everything to keep their parents happy, and will avoid any type of conflict, will avoid any type of negative reaction from the parents or from the people around him or her. Somebody who's a pleaser, they give comfort, security to their parents, but do not receive the same energy. A pleaser, I want to say it again, is somebody who gives security, comfort to their parents, but will not receive the same energy in return. The pleasure are uncomfortable with conflict, disagreement, so they apologize and they take the blame. A pleasure is somebody who will tend to apologize in every situation that there is conflict or disagreement. Why? Because they don't want to take the blame. The word no is not part of the vocabulary, because they tend to say yes to everything and to everyone, just to again avoid conflict or disagreement. And when they say yes, it might not be what they truly want to do, but they're gonna say just to please the other person. They actually might want to say no, but because they want to please somebody else, they're gonna say yes, because they are avoid of conflict or any type of disagreement or negative response. As they grow up, they will prioritize the well-being of others and not their own self. So if they feel like they are letting somebody else down, they can have a mental breakdown. They can start having negative self-talk about themselves, because they tend to be every moment that they can to be available for everyone and everyone's needs. If they fail somebody, they start having negative self-talk. They're going to think that they are useless, that they are not doing something right. And they have the goal, which is please everyone. And as we all know, that's not a goal that is possible to reach, because we cannot please everyone. We cannot make everyone happy. We cannot be involved in everybody's life. And that's how life is. But if you try to please everyone, you're going to end up burning out, because you're going to give, and you don't receive the same energy in return. So a pleaser, as I said earlier, is a person who will tend to give to other people as much as he or she can. And the moment that he cannot give something, he will have a burnout, start having negative self-talk. That's the impossible goal. If you are a pleaser, as somebody who tends to please others, and you are seeing this video, you cannot please everyone. A solution or a way of somebody who's a pleaser to deal with the relationships is a solution for a pleaser to have a long-lasting and meaningful relationship is to be honest with themselves and others. Express how they truly feel. Express their emotion, their thoughts, their feeling. Learn to set boundaries and learn to say no when it's necessary. That's what a pleaser should do in order to have a long-lasting and meaningful relationship. The second type, the victim. The victim is somebody who grows up in a chaotic home, a broken home, a violent environment full of negativity, drama, hate. Everywhere they look is sadness. Everywhere they look is somebody's hungry, somebody's fighting, somebody's drinking, somebody's doing something negative, somebody's being chaotic. That's how the victim grow up. That's the environment of the victim. From they growing up in that negative environment, they develop the ability to hide or to be quiet because they don't want to be under the radar. They don't want nobody to know that they are there. They don't want to share their opinion. They don't want to be seen. They prefer to stay quiet and to hide. Why? Because in the daily basis, it's full of violence, negativity, drama, crime. So since the reality is already painful, they tend to be quiet and to hide themselves. A victim, since his or her reality is already negative, that person is going to create an imaginary world in their own head. So they're going to live in their head because they're going to imagine a brighter future, a brighter present, a brighter circumstance, positive circumstance in their head because in their daily basis, they don't have that. Their day-to-day at home is painful, negative, toxic, which, as I said earlier, are going to make them create their own world, their own imagination, so they can escape. They're going to create a world in their head so they can escape the reality that they are living. Because what they are living is pure crime, negativity, drama. So they build their own reality in their head so they can escape what they are living on a daily basis. Okay. Victim tend to have low self-esteem, struggle with anxiety and depression, which means that, I'm going to say it again, victims tend to have low self-esteem, struggle with anxiety and depression. A solution to that is create or develop a high self-esteem, because if you develop and you create a healthy, high self-esteem, most likely you will not have anxiety and you will not have depressing thoughts. If you are a victim and you are reading and you are listening to this video, this goes for you. Victims are attracted to what they are used to, which means they're going to be attracted to people who have the behaviors of the parents that they grow up with, which means violent, people who are manipulative, people who are controlling. Why are they attracted to those things? They are attracted to those things because when they grew up, that was their daily basis. That's what they had every single day. So in their mind, they tend to be with somebody who's going to make them receive or feel what they had in their childhood. So they tend to be attracted to controllers, abusive partners, people who will represent the environment in which they grew up when they were a child. How does victim cope with things? They just adapt and go with the flow. A victim will just say, yes, let's go, let's do it. Okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, I'm going. They will just adapt and go with the flow. They will not step up from themselves. They will not try to create a different outcome of things. They will just go with the flow, go with whatever is going on, and just follow the crowd. That's how a victim cope with things, adapting and going with the flow. They are so used to chaos and stressful situations that when they find a peaceful or calm situation, they're going to think that no, they don't deserve this, or no, it's not real. Why? Because they used to chaos, they used to stress. So they are not used to calmness, positivity around them. So when they find a place of calmness or positivity, they will think it's not real or that they don't deserve it. That's the victim. How can a victim build a long, meaningful, happy relationship? By developing self-love. By developing self-love, by standing up for themselves, for their own way of thinking, for their own way of behaving, and not going with the flow or doing what everybody else is doing. That's how somebody who love language is being the victim can develop a meaningful, long-lasting relationship. But learning to love themselves, learning to accept themselves, and also standing up for whatever it is that they believe and not following everybody and not go with the flow. So self-love and standing up for yourself. If you are a victim, if your love language is the victim, please learn how to love yourself, how to embrace yourself, how to be comfortable with who you are as a person, and stand up for your own belief, for your own opinions, and your own idea. Don't just go with the flow. The third type is the controller. Usually the controllers grew up in a house with less protection. So they learn to be tough. They learn to be tough and take care of themselves because they grew up in a house with less protection. They tend to feel in control. They tend to want to be in control of everything at all times. They want to control every situation. They want to know what to do, how to do it, and if they can, they're going to do it by themselves. They develop that because they grew up in an environment with less protection, which has made them become controllers. They want to be in control at all time, so they don't show vulnerability. So they avoid to be vulnerable. So they avoid other people to see them being vulnerable. People with this love style believe that they are 100% in control of everything and everyone, which is not truth, which is something that if you are a controller, you need to remove that from your head because you cannot control everything. You cannot control everyone. You cannot control every situation. However, you can control yourself. You can control your attitude. You can control your behaviors. But you cannot control other people because other people are not you. Other people don't think like you. Other people don't feel like you. Other people don't see things as you see them. So trying to control everyone and everything can lead you to unhappiness. They tend to be unpredictable, don't like stepping out of the comfort zone because they feel like, oh, if I'm out of my comfort zone, I'm going to be exposed to something that I don't know. And when I don't know how something is, I can't have control of it. So I'm going to stay in my comfort zone. Comfort zone is going to destroy your dreams. It's going to destroy your abilities. It's going to destroy your potential. Comfort zone is like a drug. You get used to it. And the more you consume it, the less you're going to achieve in your life and the less happy you're going to be. If you are a controller, learn that it's okay to not have control. It is okay to fail. It is okay to be in situations in where you are not the one in control. And get out of your comfort zone. If you want to become your better self, you have to get out of your comfort zone. The controllers tend to want to solve problems on their own way. So if there is the issue, they're going to be like, okay, this is the way they have to solve it. This is how we're going to do it. Which is wrong because there is not only one way of doing things. There is not only your way of doing things. There is other differences way that somebody can do something. And you have to have the ability of understanding people differences and people different ways of coping with things or bringing solution, and not only wanting people to do exactly what you want, because people are not robots. We are human beings. We cannot all work the way you want us to work. That goes for the controllers. The people that love language is to control everything, every situation, which is developed because they grow up in a less protective environment. So they have learned to be tough and to take care of themselves on their own. A way that a controller can have a meaningful, happy, long-lasting relationship is by learning how to let go. Let go of the things that you cannot control and control what you can control. Trust others and work on the anger. As a way of somebody who's a controller to develop a meaningful, long-lasting relationship is by learning how to let things go, trusting others, and working on the anger. Because if something doesn't go as the controller wants, the controller gets angry, and that person can be compulsive, that person can be aggressive just because things went out of the control. If you cannot control something, let it go. Control what you can control, which is mainly you, your reaction, your attitude, but you cannot control others. And if you are a controller and you want to build or create a meaningful, long-lasting relationship, you have to learn how to let go, how not to control others, how to trust others, and work on your anger, and work on the qualities that you know that are negative, so that doesn't affect your relationship or doesn't affect your partner. Number 4, the vacillator. We usually grow up with an unpredictable parent. A parent who's not consistent with their kids, or showing them love, showing them appreciation, showing them caring. That's where the vacillator grew up, that type of environment. So they learn that their needs are not a priority for their parents. Since they are in an environment where their parents are not consistent with them, a vacillator will learn and will start thinking and believing that their needs are not a priority for their parents. Based from that insecurity, from that inconsistency from their parents, the vacillator develop a deep fear of abandonment, a fear of somebody letting them down, a fear of being alone, a fear of somebody not being there for them. But when their parents feel like giving them the consistency or the time that they want, the vacillator is already mad, so he or she will not receive it. The vacillator are already annoying, so she will like, okay, you want to give me this love now, but well, I'm mad, I'm annoyed, so I'm not going to receive the love from the parents. That's how vacillators tend to think and tend to behave. Since they grow up with that lack of consistency with their parents, the vacillator will tend to idealize new relationship, constantly thinking about new relationship, being with new people, wanting to have new friends. The vacillator didn't have the consistency with the parents. He gonna go find somebody who gonna bring him or her that consistency. That consistency, that consistent love, that consistent caring, support that he or she didn't have from the parents. The vacillator will tend to go around looking for somebody who's going to give them that consistent love, that consistent caring, that consistent support, because they lack it from their childhood. Vacillators tend to idealize new relationships. They see themselves already in new relationships, in new friendships. But when a vacillator feels disappointed or somebody let them down, they start doubting themselves. They start doubting their potential. They start thinking that they cannot do nothing good, that they are useless because somebody, that they start feeling that way with somebody when they disappoint or let somebody down. Often they feel misunderstood and experience a lot of internal conflict, which means they're going to deal with a lot of things with their own self, which is going to make them have stress in their relationship, not because of their partners, but because they have internal conflicts. They can be extremely sensitive, which means that the slightest movement or change that his or her partner can make, the vacillator gonna feel it. A solution or a way that a vacillator can create or develop a meaningful, last-lasting relationship is by learning who are they, understanding them own self, loving them own self before committing to somebody else. And also they don't have to rush to be in a relationship. And because if they rush in a relationship, chances are they're gonna get hurt. And also they often get hurt by their own expectations, because since they idealize that, they have an idea of how a perfect relationship should be. If the partner doesn't match his or her expectations, it's gonna end up being hurt. So as I'm gonna say it again, a way of a vacillator to develop a meaningful, long-lasting relationship is by learning to love themselves and understanding them own self, being comfortable with their own self before trying to be with somebody else or committing to somebody else. Since they tend to have idealized the perfect relationship, how my partner should be, they idealize that, they should learn that having expectations can lead to disappointment. So it is okay to have zero expectation and to love your partner as he or she is and not as you idealize him or her. The fifth and last style of love is the avoider. Usually they grow up in a less affectual or emotional home. They grow up in a home with less affection, less emotion, which make them, but in that home they value independency and self-sufficiency. I'm going to say it again. The avoider tend to grow up in an environment with less love, less emotion, but in an environment in which they cherish and they value independent and self-sufficient. As children, the avoiders learn to take care of themselves and do things on their own. And take care of themselves and do things on their own. From a very young age, the avoiders put their feelings on hold to deal with their anxiety from having little to not emotion from their parents or where in the environment. I'm going to say it again. From a young age, the avoiders learn to put their feelings aside, put their feelings on hold, so they can deal with the anxiety of not having or not receiving love or affection from their parents or whoever is around them. Avoiders tend to lack their own space. They want to be on their own. They want to be left alone, which they tend to want to be alone and have their own space because, as I said earlier, they grow up in an environment which people will give them no affection, no emotion. So they learn to take care of themselves and to put their feelings on hold, on wait. Avoiders tend to like their own space and rely on logic and detachment, which means avoiders are people who are very logical and are detached to every single person. They don't have attachment. They don't get attached to people. Why? Because they know when they were growing up, they didn't have the feeling, the love, the emotion. So they will not attach their feeling to somebody else. They will prefer to be more logical and detach themselves from anyone. They get comfortable. They get uncomfortable when people around them experience mood swings. If somebody around avoid is having mood swings or showing emotion a lot, and the avoider gonna be uncomfortable, because the avoider tend to be more logical and less detached and less emotional. Why is that? They grow up in an environment with less or no love at all. Love, not only love, emotion and affection in general. So which have made them from a young age deal with things on their own and take care of themselves on their own. A way that an avoider can develop a long-lasting and meaningful relationship is by learning how to open up, express them feelings. Because since they grow up without receiving feelings, so they have learned to put their feelings on hold, to make them feelings wait. Instead of making your feelings wait or put the feelings on hold, avoiders should learn to open up and to express how they feel, to express how they think, and to show emotion to others. Because it's completely okay to show emotions. It's completely okay to show that you care, that you love someone. It's completely okay. If you have a feeling for someone, the best thing you can do is fully and honestly showing that to that person. And as I say, a way to develop a long-lasting relationship is to learn how to open up and express their feelings. So those are the 5 types of love style. Which one do you identify yourself with? Let me know down in the comments. I'm gonna do a recap. We have the pleaser, the one who pleases everybody. The victim, grow up in a broken home, broken family, negativity. The controller, want to have the control of everything and everyone 100% of the time. The vacillator, inconsistency from their parents, so they go around looking for people who want to give them that consistency. And the last one, the avoider. Which one of those do you identify with? And as I said earlier, I'm going to say it again. Our childhood is the beginning of our history, not the end. Because having in consideration how you grew up, the things that you have went through, maybe dramatic situation, maybe trauma, you need to solve it, so you don't carry the same negativity all along your journey. And do not use your type of love as an excuse. Be like, oh, because I'm a pleaser, I'm gonna please everyone. That's how I was raised, that's how I grew up. No. Don't use it as an excuse. You can be like, okay, I'm a pleaser, I tend to please everyone, but I know where my limits are. I know how to say no, I know how to set boundaries, and I know how to prioritize myself before prioritizing somebody else. Because, an example, an empty cup cannot pour water. So if you are empty, you cannot fulfill nobody else. It is okay to try to help everybody, but if you yourself, you're not okay, can you help someone? No, you cannot. So start with yourself, give the love, the affection, the time, the energy, the support you want to give to other people. Make sure you're giving it to yourself first. That goes for pleasure. I tend to believe that they have to please everyone. Everyone has to like them. Let me tell you something. It is okay for people not to like you. It is okay for people to misunderstand you. As long as you are true to yourself, you're good. And the victim, don't be like, oh, you didn't know that I grew up in a broken family. My parents wasn't there for me. It was a lot of alcohol and drama and negativity. Don't use that as excuse. Yes, I grew up in a conflicted family, in a conflicted house, but I'm not going to let that define my future. I'm going to deal with what I have to deal with. It can be my issues, my weaknesses, my traumas. I'm going to deal with it every single day, because it is a process to heal from our childhood, if that childhood was negative. And not use that, oh, I'm the victim, you deal with that, that's how I am. No. Don't use that as an excuse. And also, victims tend to have low self-esteem. So, know yourself. Give yourself the love, the attention, the support that you didn't have when you were a child. It is okay to admit that you lack love, but once you admit it, you as well find a solution. Love yourself, support yourself, be proud of yourself, be the type of person that you wish to have in your own life. The controller, you cannot control everything, neither everyone, but you can control your attitude, you can control your mindset, you can control your behaviors. You have grew up in that environment, but you can be like, okay, that environment that I grew up is not going to define, it's not going to lead me to my future. You can understand that you cannot control everyone, and that's okay, but you can control your behaviors. So control and put your attention in what is on your hand. What is not on your hand, neither under your control, let it go. The vacillor, yes, your parents were not consistent with you. However, if you go around life asking people for them to be consistent for you, for them to love you, for them to support you, for them to be all of that for you, you're not really going to be happy. You have to learn to be completely happy with your own self, to be comfortable with your own self, and to be consistent with your own self. Be consistent in giving yourself the love that your parents didn't give you. Be consistent in giving yourself the support, the caring, the attention that your parents didn't give you. That way, you don't have to go around lacking it. Because if you lack it, you're going to be with a person depending on what the person can do for you. And when that person will not do nothing for you, you're going to let that person go? Now, reevaluate yourself. And the avoider, it is okay to be logical. It is okay to want to be alone, to have your own time, your own space. However, if somebody genuinely offers you help, it is okay to take the help. It is okay to show your emotions. It is okay to show that you care. It is okay to be around people who are going to give you love and who are going to help you do things. We know you can do everything on your own. But if somebody offers you help, take the help. Take the help. Take the love. And use the help that people are giving you, that love, use it for your good. And also and be grateful that there are people around you who are genuinely interested in helping you. That goes for the avoider. Which love style do you identify with? Comment down below. And as I say, I'm going to say it again, our childhood is the beginning of our story, but not the end. So regardless of how good or how bad your childhood was, you can use those understanding, those beliefs, those experiences to create a different future for yourself, if that's what you want. Comment down below which love style do you identify with, and see you in the next video.